Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Friday. So, this is now take three. I've had 2 weeks in a row where my audio was not working on my live streams, and I think it's working. I see the sound bar is moving at the bottom, but before I continue, let's just double check it on my end because that was super annoying to realize that 2 weeks in a row we had no audio for our weekly recaps. So, let me. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I can hear myself. So I think we are all set for this week's weekly recap. Oh my goodness. So many technical issues. All right. So jumping right into it, of course, one of the major headlines this week is the government shutdown. We are in the longest government shutdown in US history, unfortunately, and it is wreaking havoc on so many things. So, of course, the two major things that are disrupted right now are one, SNAP benefits were not issued for November. Now, earlier in the week, a judge did mandate that the administration did have to administer benefits. They have compromised and have submitted or administered partial benefits. Now, I have heard some conflicting reports. I've heard that some states are fully funding SNAP benefits this week, while others are only partially funding. So that's kind of where we are right now. It's really unfortunate. We're seeing so many people that are relying on food banks. The food banks can't keep up. And so until this shutdown is resolved, I think things are going to be really difficult for a lot of people. Now, I did see that I want to say Chuck Schumer did present a proposal today or yesterday where the compromise is the Democrats are, of course, requesting the health credits to be extended. They would extend it for 1 year, reopen the government, and then they would figure out a long-term plan for the Affordable Care Act subsidies. So that is the latest compromise being presented. I think that is a pretty decent compromise. So we will see what happens next week. Now, of course, with this government shutdown, we have tons of government employees who are either furloughed or working without pay. And so that, of course, is causing havoc in so many areas because people are calling out sick because they don't have money. They don't have money for gas. They don't have money for childcare. They don't have money to feed their families. So they're going out and doing gig work essentially to help their families take care of their essential needs. And so, with that happening, we are seeing things like TSA, a lot of workers calling out sick, so it's causing disruptions at the airports, long lines. We've seen TSA lines that are 2 and 3 hours long in terms of wait time. And now the government had decided to cancel, starting today, November 7th, 4% of flights at over 40 major airports here in the US. And by next week, they will cut 10% of flights. So if you are traveling in the next few weeks, don't be surprised if you do wake up to a notification that your flight has been canceled. Now, the major airlines, United, American Airlines, Delta, and JetBlue, are each handling this situation slightly differently, but overall, they're giving customers the option to cancel their trips and receive a full refund, or you have the option to rebook your trip. But there are some nuances to that. For some customers who book between a certain time window, as long as you keep the cabin class the same, the city departure and arrival the same, they will not charge you a change fee or a difference in fare. If you book outside of that window, they won't charge you the change fee, excuse me. But if there's a difference in fare, you will have to pay that. JetBlue, though, they are just automatically rebooking customers. They aren't speaking of, well, I think they are issuing refunds, but if your flight is due to be canceled, they're just rebooking you automatically. And then you have to figure out if you want to take that flight or not, or just, get your refund. So a lot's going on with that. And the main issue, not only TSA, the other issue is the air traffic controllers who also are working without pay. And with the job that's already stressful, now you're adding on financial stress. So many of them are also calling out sick, which is also adding to the issues we're seeing at the major airports. So this is why it's super important to have travel insurance, whether you buy it separately through a travel agent or through the airlines or through whatever means you're using to travel, or booking your trip on a credit card that has travel insurance. Travel insurance is a thing that we don't care about until things like this happen. So, in situations like this where your flights are delayed or canceled and you do incur certain expenses, whether it's change fees or rebooking new tickets, right? Or hotel stays, if you're stranded, things like that. With the right credit card, you would be reimbursed for certain expenses up to a certain maximum threshold. So if you are someone who's just always going without using travel insurance, I really hope you do reconsider. I know if you are paying for it separately, it is annoying to pay that extra fee when flights are already more expensive. But when you have issues like this, you wish you had paid the $20 or $40 that they were charging for that travel insurance. So I think with what's going on, not even just right now, but in general, the last like 5 years or so, air travel has become quite unreliable for a variety of reasons, whether it's system issues, weather issues, strikes, government shutdowns, right? So things are just not as smooth as they once were, and you just never know what might happen. And so this should be a wake up call to take booking or having travel insurance a bit more seriously. Again, whether you pay for it separately or you just start using or apply for a credit card that offers travel insurance. I know for some people, they are anti annual fee. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I want to get this out today. And I get that, but there are some no annual fee credit cards that do offer travel insurance. Now, the coverage isn't great in terms of how much they will reimburse you, but it's still better than zero, right? So the Chase Freedom Unlimited, that's a great no annual fee credit card that offers travel insurance. So things to think about. I have tons of credit card reviews here on this channel, so check those out. And I do have quite a few reviews of no annual fee credit cards too. So again, check that out when you have a chance. So we mentioned the SNAP benefits. Now, this one I feel silly talking about, but it's trending, so we have to talk about it. So Starbucks, I'm calling it Beargate. So in case you didn't know, Starbucks launched their holiday collection of merch and drinks today, and there is this teddy bear that everyone has been dying to get their hands on, and it's just not happening. So let me see if I can find a picture to show you guys. Oh yeah, here we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Of course, this doesn't have the picture. It's a cute cup, I will have to say. So this is the infamous cup that everyone is going crazy about. When I say going crazy, people were sleeping overnight and lining up at their local Starbucks to get their hands on these bear cups. I've seen people, so there are some Starbucks that open at 4 a.m. These folks are lining up since 11 p.m. the night before. Now, the issue is there's two issues. So, one, Starbucks had limited inventory of these cups. So, many stores only had 2 to 5 cups max, which is pretty crazy considering, it's holiday season. This is new merch. People go crazy when new merch launches. So to have such limited inventory, I think is absolutely insane. But okay, that's issue one. Issue two is that many of the Starbucks employees were buying the cups before customers could get them. So quick story. So went on TikTok, slept overnight at a Starbucks in Brooklyn. She got there 11 p.m. the night before. The store opened at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. And she is the first customer in line. So when the Starbucks store opens, she walks in, she's like, "Hey, I'm here to buy a cup." And the guy says, "We already sold all of the cups." And she's like, "Impossible. I'm the first customer. How could you have sold them?" He's like, "Yeah, sorry. They're sold." So we're seeing lots of Starbucks employees, whether it's employees who are on the clock at the time or employees who are off the clock and they just kind of walk in and buy the cups before everyone else. So customers are all up in arms. I think it's quite silly to wait hours and hours and hours for a cup. And this cup costs $30. $30 for this stupid, silly cup. Now, if you were smart, you'd buy some Starbucks stock, but that's a conversation for a different day. So that's trending right now. But what I really want to talk about is Tesla. Tesla showcased their own AI robot today, and it is quite fascinating. Let me pull this up and we'll take a peek at it together. So last week, that's the only audio that worked apparently, is the robot that a company currently has on a wait list. So it's like $20,000 for this robot. It's supposed to wash dishes, fold laundry, help with household chores. So Tesla debuted their robot. Why can't I get this to come up? Oh, well, this is quite silly. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, let me refresh. It's too cool to not show you. That's why I'm going to spend this time for us to look at this together. It's very comparable to R2-D2 from Star Wars, for those of you who are Star Wars fans. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll take a peek at this together.
Going to want to have their own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But actually Optimus will be even better than that. R2-D2 just kind of would beep at you and it's kind of hard to figure out what he's talking about. You know, you need C-3PO to translate. But Optimus is going to be, everyone's going to want one. I think there could be tens of billions of Optimus robots out there. The scale of Optimus, like I said, that's really going to be something else. I think it's going to be the biggest product of all time by far. Like bigger than cell phones, bigger than anything. Every human on Earth is going to want to have their own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But actually Optimus will be even better than that. R2-D2 just kind of would beep at you and it's kind of hard to figure out what he's talking about. You know, you need C-3PO to translate. But Optimus is going to be, everyone's going to want one. I think there could be tens of billions of Optimus robots out.
Make sure I didn't end the live. Okay, so that was a major preview at the latest shareholder meeting for Tesla. As you can see, we are still very much in this AI robot arms race, essentially. And so it'll be interesting to see when these robots are fully functional and how they will roll them out for the average customer to buy. I think this will be something that will be more mainstream quite a few years from now. The robots are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a piece. Of course, there are other issues with this as well. Privacy, security, right? So many nuances that go into this, but it's quite interesting to see, in my opinion. So AI is here to stay. So if you are not paying attention, you will get left behind. So let's just jump right into this week's earnings call recaps. Now, let me just plug in my laptop. I see the battery's like at like 50%, and I get so nervous that it'll just die randomly. So anyway, what's going on here? What is going on here? Let's see. I didn't hear the little noise. I don't know. Okay. Moving on. So there were quite a few earnings calls this week. So it's hard to pick which ones to go over, but I kind of picked ones that are personal favorites plus ones that I think we just haven't covered before. And so the first one is going to be AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. So they are like NVIDIA's main competitor, essentially, in the chip space. Oh no, where did it go? Oh, here we are. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump right into this. So AMD did announce their Q3 earnings, and they were quite impressive, by the way. So let me make this a little bigger. So that's a little too big. Let's scale that back. Okay, so here we have revenue. Just to kind of ground everyone, this is Q3 of 24 versus Q3 of 25, and year over year, revenue is up 36%. Quite impressive. But what's even more impressive is their net income, which is down here, is up 61%. Fantastic numbers. And so a lot of their revenue demand was coming from strong demand from gaming companies, data centers, and they have lots of partnerships. In case you didn't know, there aren't enough chips to go around for this AI robot movement. So companies are scrambling to get their hands on as many chips as they possibly can. So OpenAI, Oracle, IBM have partnered with AMD to get as many chips as they can possibly get. And so that is really helping their numbers. And I'm sure there'll be more partnerships in the near future because, again, it's basically an arms race for AI at this point. So let's take a peek at their stock price. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Do I want to stop sharing? No, I don't want to do that. So let me just bring this over here. So I'm just paranoid now about the black screen issue I was having previously. So quick sidebar, Starbucks stock is like up 4% today. I think it has to do with this Starbucks bear cup, which is so silly. So instead of spending $30 on a cup, why don't you take $30 and buy a piece of Starbucks stock, right? It's doing really well right now, but that's just me. So anyway, moving on. Let's take a look at AMD. So let's see, last 5 days, the stock price is down about 2% in the last 5 days. That's kind of surprising. Let's see when their earnings call was. I don't have the exact date, or do I? Hold on, let me take a peek. November 4th. So that was like Tuesday, right? Am I saying that right? Let me see. Yeah, that was Tuesday. So let's go back. Huh. Okay. That is quite interesting to see. So let's see if I go to the 3rd. Yeah, the stock is pretty much down since their earnings call. That is quite surprising. I'm not really sure what to make of that. They had fantastic revenue and top line growth. They had great bottom line growth with their net income. So I'm not sure what this is about. There could be more that I just don't know right now. But if you were thinking about buying this stock right now, it's a little bit cheaper right now. 52-week range, on the expensive side compared to the 52-week range. Interesting. But stock is down about 2%, but after hours, it kind of bumped back up 1%. So not terrible, but I guess Wall Street isn't confident in the results. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. It's quite interesting to see. But anyway, moving on. Next is AstraZeneca. So I don't think we've discussed AstraZeneca in the past. So they are a biopharmaceutical company, and they did quite well for their Q3 as well. I have to admit, I kind of want to vomit looking at their financial statements. It was so hard on the eyes, which, that's just my corporate finance background coming out, but we'll cover it here in a second. Let me make sure everything is still sharing. There's no black screen. Okay, great. There isn't. Fantastic. Okay, so I want to say it's like page 18 is where their P&L is. Let's jump down to that. Make this a little bit bigger. Oh, no, that's not where I want it to be. Oh, no, yes, it is. What am I saying? Okay. This is their P&L statement for their Q3 results. So just to kind of level set everyone, we're going to look at the purple area here to look at Q3 of last year versus Q3 of this year. And so revenue is right here. It's up about 12%, which is pretty great. Now, they had fantastic net income. So if you see down here, it's up about 77%, which is like fantastic. Now, most of their growth came from cancer research and R&D, which I don't know how I feel about that. You could have mixed results on that, right? They're profiting for cancer patients. I don't know. There's so many ways you could slice and dice that. This is not what I wanted. What is going here? Hold on. Right. So if you see here, a lot of growth in oncology and R&I, which is research and development, essentially. So they have also agreed with the Trump administration to reduce the cost of their medications. Now, I kind of struggle with that. I didn't listen to the actual earnings call myself. I kind of just read the press release because my question is how? Like, how does that happen? So are they getting subsidies from the government so they can do that? I must do some more digging to figure that out because it's a corporation. They're here for profit. So they're magically going to just reduce costs. I don't know. There's more to the story that I just don't know right now. But anyway, big picture overall, great results for their Q3. So let's take a peek at their stock price, AZN. Kind of affordable. Not too bad, actually. Okay. So, their earnings call was when? Let me go back and I don't think I can go back. The way I have this set up. Can I? November 6th was their earnings call. Okay. So this makes sense to me. They had great results. Stock price went up. So it's up not by much this week, but it's up a smidge. So that's good to see. Do they pay dividends? They do. Not much though, but okay. So yeah, this definitely makes sense and good for AstraZeneca. Let's see. Moving on. Good old McDonald's. Now I know there's a love-hate thing going on with McDonald's right now. But you know, it is what it is. Where did did I lose it? Let me see. Hold on. AMD, I can close out of that. AstraZeneca, I can close out of that. Where did my McDonald's stuff go? Huh. Okay, I'll just reopen it. It's right here. Oh, here we go. Okay. So let me copy and paste into that. And with these weekly recaps, I'm also trying to cover a variety of industries so you guys can kind of, ooh, what just happened there? Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, hold on. What are you guys still seeing? Oh, okay, you guys are here. I try to cover a variety of different industries so you guys can really see a wide variety of companies, you know, how their financials are doing. And the reason for that is so many people tend to stick to like 1 to 2 industries, mostly tech and retail, right? Those are the top sectors that people invest in. It makes sense because those are the ones they're most familiar with. But if you're trying to be a successful investor, you have to really broaden your horizon. You have to look at healthcare, medical, AI, commodities. You have to kind of broaden where you're looking to get the best return on your investment. But also, you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. Diversification does matter. It sounds kind of old school. It sounds so cliche, but it really does matter. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where if tech is having a tough time for whatever reason, now your whole portfolio has lost value because you don't have your money invested anywhere else. That's very risky, and I get it. If tech is doing really well, you're getting a nice ROI on your money. It's great when it's up, but it sucks when it's down. So just be mindful of that. And I know sometimes it's hard to find the perfect company to invest in or the right industry to invest in. But that's where things like index funds and mutual funds come into play. So that way you're in many industries without trying to find the perfect company. So just something to think about as you are continuing your investing journey. So with McDonald's, they had a decent Q3. It wasn't anything to really write home about, to be honest. But I think for McDonald's, they're just happy that revenue was up and not down. So they've had a tough time just due to the economic times. Their menus no longer affordable. Their menus are kind of expensive for the average person. Also, bad PR after the whole Israel-Gaza war issue, and also just other issues as well internally. And so they've been struggling for the last few months, but they've had 2 quarters in a row where revenue has been up. Not a whole lot, but it's still up. So this is their Q3 results. If you look here, total revenue 25 versus Q3 of 24, it's up 3%. So not bad, right? And if you look at their net income is up 1%. Not the best, but also not horrible. So what they're finding drove their sales for Q3 is one, they the snack wrap. So customers have been dying for the snack, and for some reason they just didn't want to. I'm not really sure of the reason, but they decided to bring it back. So that has helped bring more customers in the door. And they did relaunch their Monopoly game, and they haven't done that in like 10 years. So in case you don't know what that is, if you were to buy certain products from McDonald's, you would get this like Monopoly game piece. And so think of the Monopoly game board. And if you can get all the colors of, let's say, Boardwalk or the greens, the blue, right, on the Monopoly board, you know what I'm talking about, right? So if you can get all the colors, you would then win a prize. So they haven't done that in 10 years. And that was a really popular game once upon a time for them. So they revamped it, they brought it back so you can win tons of prizes, cars, money, free food, electronics, and things like that. So they believe that those two things, those two things helped. But what also helped is they kind of revamped their menu. They tried to have more value items, value deals to help make it more affordable for customers to afford meals, where before you could spend $15 buying a McDonald's meal, which is crazy to say. Once upon a time, you can go to McDonald's and for like $5, get a sandwich, fries, and a drink. Even Happy Meals are expensive at McDonald's now. It's so crazy. So if you do go to McDonald's, you are better off using their app because you can save some money going that route, or just eat healthier and don't go there at all. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, McDonald's had a fantastic quarter. Let's take a peek at their stock price. Okay, making sure I'm sharing the right screen. Let's go back. MCD. Let's see, last 5 days. When was their earnings call? I think the 5th. Yep, that makes sense from what I'm looking at here. So the 5th happened, the stock is up, came back down a bit. So it's kind of back where it was earlier in the week, but it's not down, which is great. So it's pretty much net neutral for the week. At McDonald's, they do pay dividends. They pay a pretty nice dividend, actually. So yeah, great results for McDonald's. So that's it for this week's weekly recap. Thank goodness we fixed this audio issue. I won't even go into it. It's just really silly, to be honest, but we figured it out. And we will be back for the weekly recaps. I want to get back to our investing conversations during the week, but my schedule has kind of changed in the last few weeks, so I'm not really sure when I can bring those back, but we will shoot. It'll be evening time, more than likely, probably around this time as well. And more than likely, we'll start that back up on Mondays or Tuesday. I have to just figure out the new schedule. So we'll see. So with that being said, if you have any questions and you're watching the replay, go ahead and put your question in the comments down below. I will come back and answer your question. If you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. Take care.